Look at that.
Welcome back to Monday. Gotta love what is it, a bugle?
It's a bugle.
It's a bugle? I gotta love the bugle to start the day.
So actually, there was a comic when I was growing up called Bugle Bailey. Right? It was, anyway. I'm not going down that road today. We'll stay kind of cool.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving right along. So I am in Nashville this morning. Came here yesterday. Got a whole day's worth of work here at this conference for the True Network. Shay, show me how cold it is in Nashville.
Hello, 29 degrees.
Why do people live in this kind of weather?
That was the first thing. So when I lived in Cincinnati after the first year and went through the winter, I was like, don't people know there's another way than this?
I was like, I don't know, man. Yesterday we landed, it was 29 degrees and crummy out. It wound up burning off and getting a little nicer during the day. This morning is sunny and 29, so I did go outside for just a bolt of fresh air. But anyway,
but in Nashville, you always got to wear your liquid jacket anyway.
Yeah,
that's a part I think Nashville culture is you got to be wearing that liquid jacket.
I got into bourbon yesterday, as you saw.
Yeah,
just did a bunch of little bourbon flights. Really fun. Great day at the Honda Classic on Friday. Shay, any pictures to show?
Boom.
Look at that. Just great stuff. Really fun. Fun day. Ran into great groups of people. Did lots of really cool stuff. But did you see what happened yesterday? Shay, take it down. Thank you. Did you see what happened yesterday?
So I didn't see it. I know that some guy blew it. I know that Berger blew it, but I have no idea how it actually happened.
Out of nowhere, it started pouring, like no forecast, no nothing. Just this monsoon moved in, changed the whole tournament. I mean,
right.
Berger had already sort of blown it. He lost but the next in line was right there to almost make it happen. So, and then, so we had great golf. We were there. Saturday, you had a fight that was completely typical boxing.
Josh Taylor apparently retains his title despite what everybody else who would watch the fight thought, and apparently the judges. But boxing doesn't change.
Terrible, just terrible. But you saw the NCAA basketball, which is getting ready for the tournament. Really fun time. Jake and I sat down and said, let's watch some basketball today. And for the first time ever, the top 6 teams lost.
March, baby. Weekend before March Madness is here early. College basketball is fun right now. The Knowles had a wild buzzer beater. I mean, it was ridiculous. Threw it from the other side of the court. Guy catches it, releases it from almost half court, and it goes in to beat Virginia. So Knowles are still in the hunt.
Knowles, actually, their shot to end the game was a doozy.
It was ridiculous. It was wild.
Little buzzer beater. Lots of fun stuff today. Today is the last day of February. It's the 59th day of the year, which means that there's 306 days for you to get your ass in gear, take it day by day. But we don't start any day without waking up music. Wake up, everybody! Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up! Wake up! Come on! Come on! Wake up, everybody! Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody! No more sleeping in there. No more about to thinking, top of thinking ahead. Come on now. So I never make this show political, but you got to pay attention to what's going on in the world. Sort of, me coming to Nashville, walking up and down, listening to music, having a great day, and they're having war, across the universe. It's just nutty to me. But I think what I want to talk about is this guy Zelensky, 44 years old, right? Used to be a comedian, and we are seeing real time bravery right in front of our eyes. He is leading in a way that I just love. I think it will be memorable forever. He is inspiring. He is motivating. Thoughts?
So he's leveraging the tools, and this is something that I think, I talk to a lot of the leaders that I work with and I coach about how often you communicate, cadence of communication, the way you communicate. He is every day, multiple times a day, talking to not only the people of Ukraine, but talking to the troops through social media. He's on Instagram, he's on Twitter, he's on Facebook. He's putting these, what would be, press conferences out, and he's going directly through his social channels to communicate. And what he's saying and the way he's saying it are really, really phenomenal.
So, these are the things that history writes down and you last forever. One of them is an absolute doozy one-liner when, the US said, hey, we'll come in and fly you out of there. And he's like basically saying, I need ammunition, not a ride.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not getting out of here. Yeah.
I'm here with my peeps. I'm doing what I need to do. So when leaders lead, when leaders use social media to communicate with people, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm right with you. This is what leadership looks like. It's fantastic. And his troops reacted properly. This is an amazing set of circumstances. Shay, show me the video.
Предлагаю сложить оружие и сдаться во избежание кровопролития и неоправданных жертв. В противном случае по вам будет нанесен бомбово-штурмовой удар. Длинный остров. Я русский корабль. Повторяю. Предлагаю сложить оружие, сдаться, иначе по вам будет нанесен удар. Как поняли меня? Прием.
Unbelievable. So for those of you who couldn't see it, right, the translation is the Russian warship was about to take Snake Island, is, repeatedly, advising them to lay down their arms and to surrender. And the video is of the Ukrainians responding by saying, go fuck yourself.
Which those of the people that watch our show or listen to our show that are offended by language, I'm sorry. There's no other word that fits into that, man.
Yeah.
That's, and what an act of bravery. So those guys were either killed or
they were bombed and they were taken. But I think it speaks to the strength of the Ukrainian people. It's super amazing to see old athletes who are retired, who are not living in Ukraine, are going back to be a part of the military. And Vitaly Lomachenko, who is in the prime of his boxing career right now. He's had 8 different titles that he's defended, has been at the top of the middleweight class for a long time, was out of the country training, could have continued to do that and said, no, I'm going to go stand with my people, and went and joined the military and joined one of the troops. So just unbelievable stuff happening in Ukraine. And I think it would be, I'm glad we're talking about it.
One last quote. I mean, there's a ton that history is going to, really remember well, but the Russians will see our faces, not our backs. Sign me up, man. Put me in, and I'm ready.
And the president has been very, very specific to say, like, you can see the way we're fighting. We're fighting for our country. We're fighting for our territory. We're doing our job to protect Ukraine. We're not fighting for money. This isn't about anything other than pride. And it's amazing to see, and hope that history ends up on their side.
I actually agree, and so I stand with Ukraine, man. Very cool. So today I decided, as for the content, to sort of end a month, go into another month, just to focus on the letter P. And there's a quote by my friend John DeJulius: practice does not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. So there's a lot of P's in there. But what I want to do is I want to just talk about all the letter P's. I'm going to throw a P word at you, I want you to come right back at me with it. Just whatever you're thinking about it, but it leads us to motivational music. So take away Pink, Who Wants to Party.
Haven't heard Pink in forever.
So I got practice, I got perfect, I got all of this kind of stuff. So it's all about the P's. So it's just one word association. I'll throw the word at you and you come back at me. People.
It's all about the people all the time. I actually thought about this morning as I was, looking over the Ukrainian stuff and thinking about the president of Ukraine, is that as charismatic as he could be, he can only do so much. He's relying on the people of Ukraine. And as leaders, we say it all the time in here, and I know Lori always seconds this, performance doesn't come without your people. And so if you're not about your people, whether it be your family, whether it be your friends, whether it be your coworkers, if you're not about your people, then you're not going to be successful.
So, people, there's so many different ways that you could digest it. And welcome back to our friend Rick Whalen, who comes up with persistence. That's guaranteed one of the P's we're going to talk about. But we went to Honda for one reason, to be part of the people, to see who was there.
There was no golf being watched.
I was like, what?
We watched one stroke, I think, the whole time we were there. It was all about meeting people, talking to people.
The picture I took of you guys was the one time you were watching.
Right.
It's like, and I knew it when I took it. I said, this will be the only time. But, so my whole career, the best thing that's ever happened to me stems from the people, So if you understand people as an inventory, or as Kim Kaup says, collecting humans,
capital,
it's the most important capital you can wrap your arms around. Number 2 for us, process.
So repeatable process. So I think if you're going to talk about process, you have to then say repeatable, because that's the key to success, is building processes in your life that take the thinking out of it. Shout out to Coach Wanstadt, who always talks about, clear mind, fast feet. Clear mind comes from having a process. Clear mind comes from not having to think about what the next thing I'm supposed to do is, not having to go through the development of what's the strategy, how am I supposed to do it, where am I supposed to be. Process creates that rhythm and that routine for you to operate at a high level. It's so whatever you're doing, you have to build a process around it and make it repeatable if you want to find sustained success.
Brilliance. Now we'll go to Rick's word, which is persistence. And this one's tricky for people. So tell me what it means to you.
To overcome adversity, to stand, as Ukraine is doing, in the face of adversity, and continue to stand for what you want, chase the dream that you want, do the things necessary in order to bring your own happiness or get the things that you want. That persistence, because it's not going to be easy. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be adversity. So the persistence is the skill to keep coming after things get hard.
So quick question. Do we know Carol? Is Carol new to the Huddle?
I don't know Carol. I think she is. Welcome to the Huddle, Carol.
Very nice. And she powers up with powerful people, purpose, and pride. Todd Hudson, who's here this morning, talks about 6 Ps. Just so that you guys know, we'll never get to them all, but I have a whole page of
Paula
P
Bird
words.
hits a great one with patterns. That's another phenomenal word.
So preparation.
So I'm just going to answer all of them. You're not going to give me your persistence?
So for me, persistence is a life skill. It's not only a business skill, it's a life skill. It's like, can I push you down with one push using another P word?
Sure.
Boom. Can you handle resistance? The only way to handle resistance is with persistence. So, that, I don't know if that's the opposite of it, but for me, it has always been, look at Rick slamming, man. I was just going to say, it's always been about my own personal pride. I have pride in what I do. I don't think I'm bothering anybody. Hey, do you want to get better? I can help. If you don't, that's cool. Let me know. But I'm going to hang on until you push me away.
Right. And so I love that. And I think there's a process to your persistence, right? There's a cadence that you follow. There's a timeline that happens. When we talked about the 24-hour rule, that is persistence, but that is a process to the persistence. That is, how do you manage adversity? How do you handle those feelings? How do you move your focus on to the next opportunity? How do you handle what's happening in the moment? So that's a combination of all the words. I love that.
So I love this word. It's been used a lot recently. The word pivot. So that's a new P word that I think is way, way overused. But what does it mean to you?
So it's the agility to be able to stay on course, but move the direction in which you're moving. So I think most people talked about like pivoting and like completely changing direction and going in a different way, which I don't necessarily believe in. I think pivoting is you're still moving towards the goal you wanted to get to, but it's the agility to not stay rigid and saying, this is the exact way we had to get there. We're still going to get to whatever that mountaintop was that we were looking for, whether it be a revenue goal, whether it be developing a business, whether it be changing people, whatever that is, whatever the goal was, we just have a detour, if you will, on how to get there.
So, the word, the origin of the word comes from a basketball term,
sure.
Where you would just, pivot your body,
spin around,
to get a better angle, to get a better view, to get away from the competition. So, I love the way it's been overused. It's simple, but for me, it's a verb that means a lot. Now here I'm going to start talking about some P words that people don't really talk about ever. Permission.
I love permission. I think asking for permission from people is something that I learned from you is, when you're developing opportunities, when you're in business development mindset and you just launch into talking about your business with people, most people go, whoa, I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't want to go there. So by asking for permission in order to be able to do that, something that obviously you taught me as a parent, but I think all of our parents taught us was to ask permission. But somewhere along the lines, as we became adults, we forget to do that.
Yeah. So for me, it's critical. I think if you wanted to sum up the entire State of the Union of biz dev is just ask for permission. If you're willing to legitimately ask, Mark, do I have permission to share something about my business with you? Or, one of the guys who we're working with at Northwestern, which was great, we crafted some message and he uses, do I have permission to talk about your dreams? Mic drop, So even LinkedIn is permission-based marketing. You are putting stuff out there about yourself that's creating permission. Oh, I like this guy. I like what he says. I like this woman. She's doing good things. Donna Goldfarb says the other thing, purpose. I like what they stand for. I'm willing to go to the next step. So, I think for me, the number one word for the entire universe right now is permission. You said it as a kid. You didn't, do I have permission to get up from the table? Yes. Okay, go, it's so simple, but nobody asks anymore. People just do. They just assume. They barge in. And that's one of the things that really chaps my ass is that when I'm on LinkedIn, people jump in and go, I have the best solution for you. I go, I didn't ask.
Right.
Wait, let me ask. So
Paula Bird hits a great word. Paula Bird hits the word principles, which I think might be the best word of all the P words, because again, Coach Wanstead had talked about it. Jake did a great job of leveraging something that I wrote about it and put it out on the GOTB email this weekend. But what are the principles that guide your organization, that guide you as an individual, and how often do you compromise them? Because if you compromise them, then they're not principles. So, you know, Coach Wanstead talked about having 3 words that were the principles of his teams, that no matter what you were doing, you could see those words show up in people's behaviors. You knew what the team would stand for. I think that's so important as we create culture and identities for organizations, departments, and individuals, is understanding what are the principles, how do they apply to what we do, and how do we do it, and how do we make them stick?
Go boy. Last P, because there's a lot of them people want. You know, principles was on there. Wasn't going to get to it, but this one is so significant. Is positioning. Where do you fit? What do you? Who are you? You can't be everything to everybody. So if you understand positioning and you look for, oh, look at Leslie, man, bam, philanthropic. I did not. That's a new one on the list. Shabroni, that makes the list. Last, way to go, dude.
Way to go, Les.
But talk to me about, you know, look at Rick
Whalen with
if
the
there's a cigar.
I love it. I love the P words that are coming in. Great job from the audience of sparking the conversation with us. But I would say, what was the P word? What were we talking about? Positioning, which, so you turned me on to red ocean, blue ocean, and the difference between the two. I think understanding that, and this is a mindset shift for me, because in sports, you want to be dominant. You want to be number one. You want to own it all. That's not realistic in the business world. If you really want to be successful, you got to understand what's the piece of the pie that fits you best based on who you are, what your company represents, and how you can take a piece of the market. Because like in Simon Sinek's book, it's infinite. There's a ridiculous amount of people in the world. There's no way that you'd ever be able to serve every single person. So understanding what's my piece of the pie, how do I position myself in a way that allows me to take advantage of that piece and that piece only, and saying no to the rest of it.
So you just nailed it with a double piece of the pie, baby. A double alliteration piece of the pie. So here's the thing. It's February 28th. Go out and get your piece of the pie. But before you do, ask for permission.
Carol, you're great. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Let's go.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business.